Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. It looks like we're going to have a concert here. I'm downstairs today, and so I am looking forward to being productive and talking about productivity and mindset, because when you're not feeling so great, then you don't really feel like being very productive. How many have felt that way? And when you're not doing things, taking steps. Hey, when you're not taking steps, then you don't see progress in your business, right? And so one of the things and one of the ways that I kind of battle the whole crushing mindset, we should say, I think that really mindset is 80% of our struggle when it comes to entrepreneurship, because every day is not a good day. When we are high, if you're like me, when we are high and we are just like rocking and rolling and you're getting love notes from your customers and sales are rolling in and you are launching, things are just like, hey there, it's Rhonda Melogy. If you like what you're seeing, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you know when I publish a new video, probably any minute now. Going. I mean, it's like, okay, I can take on the world. But then there are other days where there are tech issues, launch dates don't happen, you're scrambling in the background, something happens at the house, a car breaks down, you're not making sales, people are asking for refunds, like those days happen, right? And you're just like, I'm ready to throw in the towel. I can't see through that. One of the ways to really combat that mindset is to have more of a structure in place. And so there are certain, I guess, safeguards that I have put into place that help me kind of stay on task. And unfortunately, one of the things about obviously being an entrepreneur is that we have a lot of freedom. That's one of the things that the reason why we launched our business, right? So we have the flexibility to show up and do in our business as we want to each and every day. But it's also a curse, because when you do have the flexibility, you know, if the kids need something, the car breaks down, all of the things, then your business priorities are pushed down. And then it's almost like, okay, let me fit it in. And the two schedules, the life schedule and your business schedule, there's a conflict. And but you're still responsible for everything, right? So we're going to start at the top on how to manage that. And I think, and I've had to really work on this and grow, is managing your expectation of time. I can't tell you how many times when I'm going through like a mini map, a 90-day plan, and someone will say, I have 40 hours a week to work. Typically, people do not have 40 hours a week to work. And you know what I'm going to say, that's okay, because you don't need 40 hours. You need to know when your magical pockets of time are. I find that when we know when those magical pockets of time, then we can fit in our work, but yet we can still show up in our life. And 9 times out of 10, there doesn't tend to be this conflict. All right. So time management rockstar really needs to happen every 90 days. The reason being, and I know we're in a very unique time right now, but seasons, it really follows the path of quarters. We're getting ready to finish Q2, if you can believe that, here in about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. But really, time management rockstar, doing it every quarter, follows the seasons. And so we have January, February, March, which is we're coming off the holiday hangover, and we're just trying to get back in the swing of things. Like school starts back for the kids. We're trying to get back into a normal routine and schedule, and just like the shock of having gone through Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's in a very condensed period of time, right? And so then it's nasty outside. Like we compound that, and it's like nasty, it's cold, rainy, dreary. And so that has an effect on us as well. And the thing that I really want you to get from this workshop is that having that structure and understanding when your time is that you can work and be the most productive, like give yourself that framework. Let yourself just like fall back on that, because it will guide you. It will tell you what you need to do. So when we have those magical pockets, then we use process and we use systems to support us in those magical pockets of time. And that's where we start to see progress. Okay. I've got a couple of things I'm going to share with you, but we're kicking off today with number one, the management of our time. Okay. So we've got holiday hangover, and then we come into spring. Spring, the weather is much nicer outside. We're starting to stick our toe out. Things are blooming. We feel refreshed. We feel renewed. And like there are more opportunities. And then summer comes. Well, summer brings a whole host of different feelings, right? It's more of a laid back schedule. And I know things are different now. So you probably, not probably, if you have children, you've been juggling children, spouses, partners, more people at home in the house. So how do you find a quiet space without going to get your work done, right? And typically it's just a slower pace. To be honest, like this time has been really wonderful. To have Daniel at home for, I don't know, what was like maybe 2 months, he would get up in the morning. We had to get used to it, but he'd get up in the morning, go out on the tractor, do some stuff on the property. He was feeling good. He has an iWatch, and he's like really big on closing those rings. He was closing the rings every day. He was just so happy. And it was just nice. It was a much more relaxed pace, even though, I'm still working, kids still doing school, doing music lessons, all of the things. It's just a much more relaxed pace, right? We're getting ready to go on vacation here in a couple of weeks. And I know it's going to take me like 2 or 3 days to just like loosen up. And then like you kind of get in the swing of things and you're like, oh, okay, I like this. It's good. Right. And then we go back to school, whatever that looks like. Right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give a little hint. There's some cool things coming to this community that I'm really, really excited about. I'll be announcing them here in the next few weeks. Okay. But one of the things that I am going to offer in July towards the end of the month is a homeschooling 101 workshop. Okay. We've been homeschooling for 12 years, and I know that you may choose. It's different. When you choose to homeschool, the choice is different. How you manage that initially is different than if it's forced upon you, right? And so there was a lot of, I went through a lot in like making that decision to homeschool. And it was funny because I have a master's in education. But I've never taught in the classroom. But at the time when we started, I'm like, okay, I got this. I've got my community. I know what we're going to do. I'm only going to homeschool 2 of the 4. Jack is going to be on my lap. Everything is going to be fine. It was a hot mess. Even though I was able to think about and choose my community, choose my resources, read books. There is a book like this thick that I was reading, like getting everything out of, right? Having gone through, not teaching in the classroom, so to speak. I did during my practicum, but never really being paid as a teacher, I should say. With a master's, I thought, I got this. So I can completely empathize with those that are kind of thrown into homeschooling. And so what I thought I would do, I've had some requests for it, and I thought that I would share with you resources really at all stages that you can use with your family, how I made my decision, some of the pros, some of the cons, some of the questions that I get. I think we're all in this right now together, and we're all going to be doing this, whatever the hybrid situation looks like when we go back, and maybe just kind of calm some of that anxiety and some of that feeling of, how am I going to do this? My kids are missing out. Are they getting everything that they need? So I am going to be offering that here in this community to you, and you're part of the community. So you get it. It's awesome. And then I'm going to show you how I manage homeschooling. Obviously, my season of life is very different as we move into the fall. Maggie, I've got one who's graduated. He'll be in college. Maggie is a senior, Thomas is a sophomore, and Jack is a freshman. But, out of the 4, Jack is the one who has homeschooled the whole way through. So we're going to go through how I manage that. And I've got tools and resources that you will have, that you'll receive. They will be a part of the program to help you organize. Both pen and paper. So if you need to write things out, and then I'm going to show you how to use Trello, and I'll probably make some Asana templates as well. So I want to let you know that's coming, all in like the thing of managing our time, because time is going to change. And what does that look like? I use time blocking and still being able to find those magical pockets of time. So that's coming in July, and that's your summer back to school schedule. And then we move in to the last 90 days of the year, which, pushes us into holiday hangover again. And your time changes. It really has it's a time crunch. I think the people who actually go through and are true to time management rockstar see the most benefit. Now, with that being said, I will say that initially when I would walk through and do these activities, I do them on my own. I do them here every 90 days, looking at, what's coming, all of the things. And I get a little sassy. I'm like, I don't need that schedule. And I go away from it. And I've heard people, this happen to them. I've heard people say, oh my gosh, this was amazing. I love this. And you get a little bit, yeah, I don't need that. And then you move away from it and you come crawling back. It's the same thing that I did with the chore chart. Started the chore chart when we initially started homeschooling because I couldn't do all of the things. And so I enlisted the help of everyone in the house. And then I was like, we got this. I don't need to worry about that anymore. Came crawling right back. Because that it doesn't change, right? In our minds, things get easier. So then we think we don't need those tools, but it's those tools and those structure that lets us breathe a little bit, right? And just like lessens the anxiety that we have around things. So if anything that I can talk to you today about being productivity and having a productive mindset, it is all being very intentional with your time. Now, I'm also going to speak to time with, and this for me has kind of come really as I'm working more and more with Systems My Design members and mapping out their 90-day map, focusing on one thing. Now, there are lots of activities that happen, but it's the one main goal, for the month, instead of, oh, I need to be publishing my website. I need to be over here doing this. I need to make sure that I'm doing that. Oh, let me just try social media over here. I think I want to go over Pinterest over here. And then getting at the end of the month and you're still feeling very harried and you've not made any progress because it's a stop, start, holding fast to the thing. Again, this is something that I have had to learn. I think a really good tool for me in my life and my experience is my seasonal event. It happens every 6 months. It's a train that's coming and it's going to leave the station whether I'm ready or not. And I don't fiddle with it. It's like I do the things for the thing. It's the one thing. And we leave on the train and we do our thing and we come back to the station, so to speak. And it happens twice a year. That is a beautiful luxury. But it still has taken me a lot of time to come back to focusing on one thing at a time. During the employee to CEO workshop, we talk about discounted hourly rates and a buffet of services. It's a great example of if you're offering a buffet, meaning I'm going to do social media, I'm going to do websites, I'm going to do content, doing all of those things, it's almost impossible to multitask because your brain can only be taxed between so many things. I do like to multitask. I like to have the processes that are running. Kids know what we're doing with school. They know what they're doing with their lessons. They know that when I'm going live, all of those things that you can multitask, but switching from task to task to task is exhausting for you. You're not efficient with your time because you can't batch that work. And you become chained to your computer, and then you start to resent your job. You start to resent the business that you launched because you wanted something different. You wanted to be able to show up, for your life in your own way and not have to ask somebody for permission or call, hey, my kid's sick, etc. Right? So being able to focus, and maybe it's even giving permission to say, this is all you need to do. That might be another part of the equation that makes it okay to not go chasing 500 things. And two, you just need to get off social. You need to get off social, people. Come to this community, come to the lives, ask the questions here. But how taxing is all of that? It's very taxing. And if someone asks a question, maybe in a group, and it relates to something that you're working on, how many of you have chased that shiny object? Yeah, just get off of social. Focus on the one thing. And we're going to get into goal setting here in just a second. So intentional with your time, knowing your pockets of time, creating that structure, and then just focusing on one thing. By focusing on one thing and using different processes to accomplish that task, you will start to see progress in your business, and your mindset will start to improve. If you're feeling negative, maybe you're feeling anxiety, maybe you're feeling depressed about what it is you do, taking these intentional steps and really breaking things down will help alleviate a lot of that. I don't think it used to be, I think that people would have a fear of failure. I think that at this point, they just want to try all the things because they want overnight success. That doesn't happen. There's nothing passive about revenue. There's not a quick fix. I can't share with you a quick win that will generate $30,000 a month. I mean, there is just none. And if it is, then you need to run the other way. So that's kind of like my little baby soapbox, right? Okay. So we talked about time management. Now, one of the things, once we know our time, okay, and you can still do this right now, as we're finishing up Q2, it's a great, great opportunity for you to take a couple of weeks to set yourself up for Q3, which starts July 1, right? I call it daily 3. Daily 3 are the 3 non-negotiable things for you to do each and every day. Now, it is not about flying by the seat of your pants, meaning getting up. Okay, what are the 3 things that I want to do today? Okay, these are the 3 things that I need to do today, without regard to accomplishing the end goal for the week, the end goal for the month, the end goal for the quarter. You see what I'm saying? The daily 3 begins the night before. Preparation for your day begins the night before. So you see how we are really putting a lot of structure around something that could go willy-nilly. Number 1, time management comes from knowing your pockets of time. Number 2, it's structure for your day, focusing on one thing. So your daily 3 could be really easy tasks, non-negotiable. Do this for a week. Do your daily 3 for a week, and then come back and tell me how you feel. It's a lot like Trello Business System. A lot of you have gone through that program, and about 2 or 3 days in to completing the business binder or start adding things to the business binder, you're chasing something. And you may have been chasing it for about 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden you remember, oh, wait a minute, that's over here. And you go and you get the thing and you're like, wow, that was easy. Business doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to make it complicated. Doing all these like crazy town things can be very easy. And putting that business at your fingertips, so you just go to one place, we're establishing those daily habits. Okay. So daily 3, really important. Starts the night before, and then you implement the next day. It's your non-negotiable. And if you want to start with your daily 1 and then move to daily 2 and then hit daily 3, I wouldn't do any more than 3. We think we can. When I get over there on that bike, oh my goodness, I used to say that my business, like when I was doing a product-based business, like I was going from my basement to being in Target, being on the Target shelves, right? And when I get on that bike, I'm like, I can do anything today. And, but when reality hits and push comes to shove, and the dog has to go to the vet, the car breaks down, the dishes are piling up, soccer tryouts have started, it's raining outside, and you're launching, all of those things happen, then that little endorphin rush that you had comes crashing down. All right. So start with your daily 3, really important. So I'm going to share my screen, and I want to share my screen and show you a plan that I worked on with one of my private clients. And I think it's going to give you a lot of insight into breaking down and focusing just on one thing. I almost feel like I will probably speak to 90% of you and some of the things that you were thinking about. That's the other thing, guys. We carry too much around up here. Free yourself. If anything, I don't necessarily like pen and paper, but anything, grab you a sheet of paper, and all of those things that we're thinking about up here, get rid of them, put them down on a piece of paper, just like release yourself from that. That is another, it's a lot like, I always like give you guys analogies. It's a lot like Christmas time when you already have a packed schedule. And then we put holiday parties and we put Christmas presents and all of the things that we do, all the baked things that we do. It becomes overwhelming until we sit down and we just get it all out on paper. We put everything in the kitchen sink. We feel better, but then of course now we're overwhelmed because we look at that piece of paper. I just want you to take it out of here though. We carry around too much with us, and it takes away the joy of what it is we do. Okay. I'm going to look at the comments here really quickly. And oh, there's my girl, Yolanda. How are you doing? Yes. Managing expectations of time. There's Alana. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Let me get to everyone. Jen. So Jen has done, like, I don't want to single you out, Jen, but I'm going to single you out. You are so intentional. So when everything happened, you know, and her girls came home, I mean, she really got into time management, expectation of time, setting up her processes for marketing, getting really clear on who her customer was, making sure that she had the technical knowledge as well in programs that she was doing to help her be a better manager, doing Pinterest, doing the thing that she wanted to do. So I think Jen could probably speak to how transformational understanding what those pockets of time are. Let's see, Yolanda, release yourself, write it down. Absolutely. Hey, Cian, I love old school pen and paper. I know what basement. I know, like, I don't really have a basement, Lana, but I used to think, like, when we I trademarked a logo, and you know, we started with hospitals, and then so we were selling across the United States to hospitals, and then we started talking with Amazon, and that started happening, and then we started talking to Wayfair. We were working with Wayfair before Wayfair was Wayfair. And then Zulily. I think Zulily is still around, and so we started working with Zulily. And so for me, it was like that product, which actually would be an amazing product right now. It would be an amazing product right now. I don't think I've ever told you guys the story. I could tell you the story here really quickly. So my trademark and the logo it's called Consider Yourself Hugged. Okay. And my sister, when she went away to college, she would write in cards, consider yourself hugged. And she would draw like outstretched hands. And so I told you guys that I was a pharmaceutical rep. And on my route, there was an office manager. And she and I just like got together. We were tight as ticks. I mean, just loved her. And I went to visit her one day, and she had been diagnosed with cancer. And I was devastated for her. I was devastated. We had children the same age, and it just really affected me. That was kind of one of my first interactions with someone who had been diagnosed that was young that I knew. And so I took my sister's Consider Yourself Hugged and the drawing. I took that to just like a print shop. And I knew she was going to be going through chemo. And so I put that on a blanket for her because I wanted her to know that I was there when I couldn't be there. And she loved it. And she used it. It was pink, soft, fluffy. I had just gone to Target, I think, and got one of those fluffy blankets. And then we went to pillows and we've done some other things. But what happened was like people started asking for that. Of course they started asking for that, right? And so I researched and I found some really nice fleece blankets, and I found an embroiderer. And so we started, and I trademarked the logo. I paid a trademark attorney. And so we started the company. And it was an arm of a company that I have, and we started selling those. And we sold them. We got into a hospital association, and because they make sense, right, for hospitals. And then, of course, Amazon. We did baby blankets. We should have just stuck with the one. We should have just stuck with the fleece blanket, and we should have just stuck with core colors where we could just change the color of the logo. But you know, that's like hindsight's 2020. But when you look at the message that product has and where we are today, it would be a fantastic physical product to be drop shipping and to be selling when you can't be with your loved ones and you want to send them a hug. I mean, you all see like send a virtual hug. So that's one of my physical products. One of the things that I did like a way long time ago. So now you get a little skinny there. Hey, Pam. Hey. Yeah, it is. Yes. So cancer sucks. So let's go. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get to tying everything up with a bow here. So this was a client. Let me get to Trello. And this is a 90-day goal setting, but we're going to focus on 30. Okay. But I just want to show you how we can build this out and how maybe you're thinking right now. I love doing this with her. So the 90-day project management, we're just going to go through this in the process. So time management rockstar, we've already talked about that. One big goal. So obviously we're talking one big goal at the end of the quarter. And whatever that means to you in terms of one big goal, it could be financial, it could be that you have done something else in your business, right? A small goal is that if you think about 90 days, we're breaking it up every 30 days. So there are smaller goals to help you attain the big goal. And in order to reach the small goal, you need a small strategy, right? And then for the small strategy, you need action steps. And what is key? What do I say like all the time that you absolutely need to do after everything that you do? Evaluation, right? Did it work? As I continue to grow, can I continue to do this? Did I enjoy it? Was I consistent? That's like the number one question. Are there areas of opportunity that I can learn? Maybe new tools? You always are evaluating your process. So when we look at the process itself, time management rockstar, one big goal, key metrics. What are your metrics? Is it sales? Is it number of emails? Is it number of clients? Is it the number of discovery calls? What is it, your key metric that you are looking at hitting? Because here's the other thing that productivity mindset, what crushes productivity mindset is when you feel like you are not making progress, but you're comparing yourself to others. You've not laid out a key metric for yourself to compare yourself to. Instead, you're comparing yourself to Susie over here, who knows how many courses she's taken, who's her coach, how much money she's spending. You have no idea, but you're comparing yourself to her. That does not help you or move you in your business at all. But we do that. We crush ourselves with that. Stop it. Create your own key metrics, okay? Whatever that means to you. Okay, so 3 small goals, 3 small strategies, and then evaluation. So here we go. We threw down a list of tasks. So I was like, okay, what do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? Well, her big goal is $8,000 a month. Her backup goal was $3,500 a month. And some things that she was working on: workflows, B-School, LinkedIn group, virtual networking, Facebook groups. There's several things that she was laying out that she wanted to accomplish, okay? And I was like, all right, so we're going to focus on revenue generating activities, right? Because why? Because $8,000 is revenue. Her key metric is did she hit it, right? And then she gave herself a backup plan. So the one big goal, and we listed out here, the one big goal is 8,000. So the small goal was networking. So it was interesting. So we talked about networking, and I was like, okay, her small goals were networking, content marketing, and lead generation. All of these activities, she didn't know how to organize them all, and but she felt like she needed to do them all. How many of you feel that way? Like you need to do all of these things, all right? How do you have them organized on your calendar? Do you have them organized? Do you have key metrics in place to tell if you're making progress? So for July, next month, we're putting a process in place. So she wants to hit 8,000 in 90 days. So one of the strategies to one of the small goals is, okay, networking. What does that mean? And she had LinkedIn group, virtual networking events, and Facebook group. So those were the 3. She had those all listed, and I'm like, that's beautiful. Those are strategies. So out of these 3, for you, which one is more comfortable for you? And so Facebook group, virtual networking events, and LinkedIn. And she immediately, without pause, Facebook groups. Okay, great. And she's like, and when we went through this process, the reason I'm telling you this is because you're carrying around baggage. You think that you need to be networking. Networking to you means LinkedIn group, virtual networking, Facebook group. And she said, as soon as we broke this down, she's like, yeah, I carry around all of that. I think about all of those, but I know that I'm not going to do them. How impactful is that statement? I carry those around with me, but I know that I'm not going to do them. Then why do you carry them around with you if you know you're not going to do them? They're not going to move the needle. They're not comfortable for you. You're not going to do it. So then what are you comparing yourself? And are you making progress? Okay. So Facebook group. Facebook group was her strategy, right? So well, I thought I had listed it out right here. I listed it out down here. So for the month of July, the only thing that we're going to focus on is Facebook group. So Facebook group could be anything. And I'm like, we're not just going to leave it there. We're going to dive a little bit deeper. Because why? Time management rockstar, being intentional with your time, accomplishing the goal of ultimately $8,000 a month. So Facebook groups, specifically, what Facebook groups have you seen the biggest results when you show up, i.e. you get clients? And so she listed Amy Porterfield and B-School. She's in paid groups, paid communities as part of a course, right? So B-School, Amy Porterfield, you can think of all the courses and things that you've purchased, right? I was like, okay. So instead of all of the free groups that are out there, we're focusing where people are investing their time and money and where she has had results. Is she more likely to show up and utilize this strategy to accomplish her goal? Yes. All right. Now let's talk about how have you picked up a job from a paid Facebook group? How has that worked for you? Well, I looked in there to see if anybody was talking about webinars. Okay, well, how did you do that? Well, I did a search and I did just look through threads. I was like, okay. So for her and her product offering, we've actually branched out. So it's workshops, webinars, events. Workshops, webinars, and virtual events, right? But we were talking about a search for workshops, webinar, event, membership, launch course, all because you would be, what she does is she helps entrepreneurs run workshops, live events, workshops, webinars, and who would need someone? Well, if they're launching a membership, they're launching a course, they're doing a launch, events, they would need her. They would need her and her services, right? Okay, so the process is 1, to search, 2, to start the conversation. How do we talk about starting conversations? Do we talk about just sending an email, or do we talk about throwing up our scheduling link in the thread of 40 other people? Obviously not if I'm sitting here slamming that, right? So using a free tool like Loom, whatever else you use, introducing yourself, starting the conversation, and having that process in place for an email, portfolio, and a link to the client intake form. You want to have like 2 to 3 emails ready to go. In your marketing time, you're like, okay, Lana is getting ready to launch. I am going to do a personal Loom video to her. I've already got my email template in place that gives her a little bit of information, shares a quick tip, gives my portfolio and a link to the client intake form. Send. That's what I do for my marketing. I'm showing up where I've gotten clients. I do a video. If I'm not comfortable with video, I need to get comfortable, and I push send. I'm going to tag this in my dream customer, and I'm going to have a due date for follow-up. So 2 days from now, I'm going to follow up. And the follow-up, I've already got that follow-up sequence. Again, another video. We're having a conversation, right? And then I put in here the email signature. That's all she's doing. This Facebook group process is the only process that she's doing. And now, I mean, I've given her permission. Like, I didn't all Rhonda, all knowing, giving her permission. That's not what I'm saying. But we sometimes need permission to say, this is what I'm good at. This is where I'm comfortable. This is how I'm going to show up. This is the only thing I'm going to focus on. Okay. Out of all of these strategies, networking, content marketing, and lead gen, this has given her the biggest bang for the buck. So I want her to implement that. All we're doing, action plan, showing up in the 2 Facebook communities during the scheduled time that she's identified in her magical pockets of time. Week 2, same thing. That's all we're doing. Week 3, same thing. That's all we're doing. And week 4, same thing. That's all we're doing. Because what you're going to find is you're going to it only takes one to start networking with out of all of this. It could be a huge course creator that you end up networking with, and they don't need somebody, but they do know somebody who needs somebody. So then they connect you, right? We evaluate. Did you get sales? Were you consistent? Did you like it? Did you learn anything? What are your areas of opportunity? Can I continue to implement as my business grows? Yes. If this is the hot ticket for her to market and she practices not once, twice, 3, 4 times, she's going to get really comfortable doing one thing. Am I worried about content marketing and lead gen? No, those are coming. But I'm getting really good at one thing, and then I'm going to evaluate that process and choose, am I going to do it again this month? Yeah, it worked for me. Of course I'm going to do it. And now I've honed in my process really well. It doesn't take me that long. It doesn't stress me out, and it makes me money. So I'm going to do that again in August. But look, now I'm going to do content strategy. So I'm going to get really good at that, because that's the new process that I'm going to focus on, right? So you can see action plan, writing a blog and repurpose. Week 2. Action plan, writing a blog and repurpose. Same thing. Week 3, action plan, writing a blog and repurpose. Week 4. We're focusing on one strategy. So now we've got 2 things that we've done. Working towards the one big goal. We're going to evaluate at the end of each month. And then we get to September. September for her is lead gen. And this is really great if you think about what we're doing here. Obviously, we're focusing on a financial goal, because all of these things, so she's got 30, 60, now we're going into 90 days of her networking process, which brings her sales. Now we're starting to see traction. Now she's layered on here blog. So she has specific content around the service that she provides. She's continuing to use this networking strategy within Facebook groups that's brought her results. But now she can say, oh yeah, I've got a great article for that. Here you go. Right? The opt-in that's here leads where? Client intake form. Are we a good fit? Discovery call, making money. We're setting ourselves up for when our time gets pressed in Q4. And we're getting really good at our thing. And so for the month of September, finally, lead gen. And the lead gen is the opt-in and email sequence. How many? She even said, yeah, I'm almost done with my opt-in and I got to get started on my email sequence. And she's a writer, right? But this is all she has to focus on for 4 weeks. In that magical pocket of time, focusing on one thing. Now she is set up. So she has her networking strategy. She has her content that she can continually go back and reference and not look not violate, any community rules, right? And then now she has used this opt-in and she has an email sequence to support it. These are the things that are eat those frog activities that we don't do, that we know we need to do, that we build up in our mind. And then by the time we get there to do it, we're so exhausted by it and we finish it. We're like, well, that wasn't that bad. Why was I procrastinating? All right. This is such a great example for so many people. It's also a great example of what we can focus on really for 1 month. And it really just started here with brainstorming, like all of the tasks. Oh, I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. You are saying to do these things because that is what we hear. It's part of our language. You see other people doing it. So you think that that could be a successful strategy for you. Then when we have brain dumped here, we go back and say, okay, realistically, what's going to work for me? I know that I'm not going to show up in LinkedIn groups. I don't even know what LinkedIn groups are. Virtual networking events. I'm probably not going to show up to that. That sounds like a really good strategy, but I'm not going to do that. Facebook groups, okay, I can do that. Do you see how that works and how now the steps that you're taking, you will start to see progress? Oh, gosh, I just love this stuff. Okay, let me come back and stop the screen share. I'm going to pick up a guitar and start singing. Let's see. Hold on. Right. I used to dream that I found one under the house. I don't even know. Hey, yes. Okay. No, we don't put me in the thread that's looking for support. Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Well, I think that mindset and productivity, it goes along with the thing that we've been using inside of Systems by Design this month. And I'm really happy with the way that all of those masterclasses, I'm really happy with the way that they've kind of evolved. The first one, I think Alex was very conversational, kind of different than her first Know Your Numbers workshop that we did with her. And then we had Nate, who just one of his head, shoulder, knees, and toes, just one of those. There was a situation that happened with my husband, and I was like, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. How can I change the way I'm going to react to this? So funny. Just one of those things that he said out of the three would have been great, right? And then yesterday, I think, dining with JoJo, I think that's going to turn into a thing. I really liked it. She called me later. She's like, so did you like it? I mean, did it go okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you were going to bake a pizza. I thought it was fantastic. So that was a lot of fun. And then next week is Rosita. OMG. She is going to knock your socks off. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I think mindset and productivity, we go into the valley of the slumps and we go in the valley of pessimism because there's not a lot of structure around what it is we do. And the more structure, just like with my babies, bath, bottle, and bed, the more structure that we can add to what we do, it takes the emotion, right, and the ability to procrastinate out of the picture. And so just to kind of tie everything up here with a bow, number one, what is it? A goal without a plan is just a wish. That's a great, great quote. We'll start there. 2, intentional with our time. You don't have to have 40 hours. You just need to know how much time you have and maximize that. Pam actually talks about that this week on the podcast. And I was really, really surprised at Pam. I was surprised at some of your answers. I love them. They really opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And I'll kind of end with that here in just a second. Intentional with their time, daily 3. Daily 3 starts the night before. Those non-negotiable things, they're going to push the needle a little bit more. And so giving you an example, looking at my client and now focusing on Facebook groups for networking, daily 3, out of that process, what don't I have in place? Let me just pick one thing that I can do today that's non-negotiable for that process to move it forward. Because we're working with clients, we're defining a marketing system, we are figuring out our magical pockets. We're doing a lot of things, right? So daily 3. And then a goal without a plan is just a wish. Breaking it down and focusing on one thing. When you focus on one thing, you're going to figure out if you like it. You're going to figure out if it's scalable. You're going to figure out if you can make money at doing the thing. You'll see progress when we focus all intentions and effort versus being just like splatter, right? And so I will end by saying that Systems by Design. So a lot of Systems by Design members are here in Tech Lab. Got a big announcement coming for this community here coming up. I'm really, really excited in the next couple of weeks here. Okay. I'm just going to drop it like it's hot. I'm just going to drop that there. Systems by Design is open. If you have any questions, you can put in this thread. The custom 90-day step-by-step plan, the dashboard, the community. We have 2 payment options now. The $797 gets you immediate access to the 90-day plan, and then $297 payments. So there are 3 payments of $297. Okay. When we shut the doors next Thursday at midnight, it's going to turn into a pumpkin. The price will increase. I'm going to go ahead because if you think about, you get the custom plan, and after that custom plan, it's support. That was a question that people had. So after 90 days, what happens? Well, we continue to support you in the community. You were in there, and that's where we have the different themes each month. And there's something for everyone, whether you're growing, launching, or scaling your business. You can take something. You don't have to show up to everything. You show up to those things that'll help move the needle in your business, right? So that is open and available. We've been welcoming members into the community. I'm very excited. And we're going to have a fall-winter enrollment. September, October is when it's going to happen. But the price will increase by $200 when we do that, just because the time and just how we manage the community, everything that we do inside that community. So we're going to increase the price. I think that, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was what kind of came out of in this week's Business Strategy Radio podcast episode. What I did is I'm using a new tool, and I would ask a question and then people would respond to that question. And I think it's really interesting to hear when we think about objections of purchasing something. I am guilty of this, that I would say, time and money are like the biggest objections, right? Well, you show up for things that you want to show up for. So time really is not an excuse. It's just something that we say. Money is an excuse. We will find the way to do the thing. And I said this last night, when Maggie had that group coaching that was very expensive, an unexpected budget, something to add to our budget. That's how I was able to transition online. Like that one catalyst made me take action. And I said it last night, I still cannot believe that the amount of money I made covered her expense, that unexpected expense. How those things happen, I do not know. But look what all that has led to, right? So it's not about money. Money, we can find the money. When we want something, why do we buy? Because we want to. So what is the biggest objection to someone purchasing from you? And it was a pattern that I heard. It was Nate said it, Rosita said it, Michelle, Pam, and it's trust. And I'm like, well, how the heck do I overcome the trust factor? And the trust factor is just you knowing me, right? The like trust factor, me showing up. Now, we had to reschedule this episode for this month. But showing up here in the community, if you are in the free community, showing up in the free community, the workshops, if you have emailed me, I'm in my inbox, probably shouldn't be, but I'm in my inbox. So I know what my customers are asking and the things that they need. I can see that. It's important for me to know that. It's important for me, as Kirsten would say, to be at the top of the tree, but it's also important for me to be connected to my community, to never be too far away, to understand the things that you do need, right? And so I would say the whole trust objection is, and Pam, you did an amazing job. She said, can I trust her? Is she going to show up? Is she going to do what she says that she's going to do? So many times when we are investing in programs, and I've seen it, we've been burned. That's why you're like, can I trust her? My goal is to always show up and over deliver. And if now is not the time for you, I am so okay with that because I'm not going anywhere. I had calls one-on-one with clients and at the very beginning of all this stuff happening. And I knew that they wanted to participate in coaching and in some of my programs. But I could tell from our conversation that finances were very heavy. When this whole thing started, I mean, it was just a lot of uncertainty. And I'm like, I don't want to add to that stress. I want you to know that I'm here for you. I want you to know that I will show up and that I'm not going anywhere. And so when you're ready, then I am ready and I will be here. So that's how I deal with the objection of trust and showing up. And that was a huge eye opener. I think with each launch, a lot of times like feedback that I would get from people where they would say, I'm new. And Michelle actually hit the nail on the head there. She was like, I felt like some of the stuff was a little bit advanced. But then she was like, yeah, but then there's the community and Rhonda will hop in and there's accountability in the community to help. And so most of the people that are on this week's podcast, they did not have a business before they hopped into either working with me or, hopping into Systems by Design. So really excited about the launch that we're going through. We've got some facelifts that we're going to be doing here in the community coming up, which I'm really happy and excited about. Lots of new opportunities. That homeschooling 101, that's coming your way. So that'll be at the end of July. So stay tuned. We have a new tutorial that is launching this month. I know like most of you are going to be like gasping for air that it's the Asana tutorial, but we are launching Asana here in the community. Y'all, okay, so I'm a visual girl. I like Trello. There are more people that use Asana than use Trello. Then it's so funny. So when I went into, I do Trello business. So I have created all of the templates now for Asana for business and Asana for home. And I created those templates using the board view. I had to. I started doing the list view. I'm like, this just ain't working for me. I am a list girl and I like lists, but I'm also like really, really visual. So I know I'm going to convert some of those Asana people. But anyway, so we're going to be launching Asana here. One size does not fit all. And so, so that's what we're going to be launching here. Was it next week? I think next week is the last week, right? Next week is the last week of, I'll be back. I'll be back. Here in the community, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We're launching Asana. It is ready to go hot in the dashboard, and we will go live with that tutorial on the 25th. And then we'll also make some announcements of what is coming here in this community. I think you're all going to be very, very excited if you like today's session. Okay. If you've got any questions about anything, about productivity mindset, the daily 3, breaking goals down into manageable bite-sized pieces, time management rockstar. If you have any questions about any of those, you can put it in the thread. If you have questions about systems, go ahead and ask them. There are lots of Systems by Design members here in the community, and those girls will hop in and answer and give you their perspective, their insight into the community that we together have built. It's not just been me. It has been a community effort. So I've enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a great day. I got to take off my sweatshirt and hop on that bike. Hop on that bike right there and get jiggy with it. All right. I think I'm going to do, so Robin does a Lizzo ride. It's like a 30-minute Lizzo ride, and I'm feeling it today. That one song, Like a Girl, I really like that. Woke up feeling like I'm going to run for president. Guys, take care. Have a great day. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Click the link. It's the first link. We make it super simple for any of the tools and resources that we talked about in today's video, helping you make it easy for your freedom to impact.